To Anfield Index, I'm your host Jack McIndoe on today's Anfield Index Pro Plus special. This week's opposition fan preview features Ankit from the Almighty Blues FC, who will share his unique insight on all things Chelsea. But first, a word about today's sponsor. This episode is brought to you by our partners at Match Bingo. Match Bingo brings a new level of excitement to live football, transforming every match into an interactive bingo game. Picture this: Liverpool score, you celebrate, and it's on your card and you mark it off as well. With 15 match events to watch out for, from corners to free kicks to goals scored to specific minutes, you're always one moment away from getting closer to that big win. So each team has 6 dedicated events on the card, along with 3 neutral events as the game unfolds. Your bingo card updates in real time. It's football just for an extra bit of fun as well. With this week, we're watching Liverpool take on Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and you can play along this week as well. Simply click the link or scan the QR code on screen or on this episode as you are watching to play along with us on Match Bingo. Here's something special for our Anfield Index listeners and viewers as well. Use code INDEX for a massive 200% deposit bonus. That means if you deposit £5, you'll receive an extra £10, so you have £15 in total to get started. Just make sure that you use promo code INDEX, that's INDEX, when you sign up today as well. But also remember, it's 18 plus only, and please gamble responsibly. For help, visit gambleaware.org. You can also download the app as well, so you can set up your accounts and join us for the next match. Enjoy the game, Reds, and good luck with your match bingo cards. So let's get straight back into the fan analysis. There we go. Ankit, how are we, mate? Do you reckon I do a much better job than Gary Neville on the overlap read through?
Great to be here. Definitely, Jack. Looking forward to the chat, and of course, looking forward to the match, because I think this has been one of the most underrated rivalries, I think, in Premier League. Just not in recent times, but I think you and I both, personally speaking, we have been growing up looking at this fixture always, and I think this definitely is up for some drama this time. Looks like it's a must win for both. Would you be agreeing to that?
Yeah, 100%, mate. Obviously, a lot of change over the years at the Bridge, mate. But firstly, I wanted to, obviously, as you said, we'll speak on a little bit about the form as well. Obviously, 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses, so very mixed bag anyway. But just firstly, I wanted to start today's episode in regards to Maresca, just your views on the Chelsea coach as well. As we said, there's been a lot of rotation of managers over especially the last 10 years. But even going further back, Ankit and the Blues will know a very successful strategy really in terms of getting rid of managers but winning countless trophies along the way as well. But I guess in terms of Maresca, obviously Champions League position last year, was that ahead of schedule for you, or was that in line with the quality that is already flourishing at Chelsea with all the new signings as well for you?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, because for me, an unpopular opinion is, and you mentioned about the rotating door of managers, and that's something which might be unpopular for many, but for me, one of the reasons why, like Chelsea, who probably started off what Man City has been doing more recently, should have dominated far more in terms of English football generally, because we had that period of domination, but it wasn't so long as, say, compared to a Manchester City recently. Again, there can be question marks about how they do it and how we do it, and I know that's a little controversial, but let's not go there. The whole point is, I think, the more the rotations have come, the lesser our domination has become, despite winning trophies. So I know it looks on the outside that we won a lot of trophies over the last decade and a half, right? But the reality is that we've not done that with domination that we could have probably if, say, we had certain managers. And I give the example of Enzo Maresca here, because for me, yes, we did bring in a new manager last summer, and Jack, on my channel, I always said it. I wasn't really pleased at the timing of it all. Not that I was anyway poached in, but the reality is that we did not really need to restart again and again that we did. One of the reasons why Chelsea in the recent years has lost so many domestic finals, especially to you guys, is the fact that maybe the same set of players, did not really, face that consequence of not winning a final.
Yeah.
And then you had a revolving door of players, a manager, etc. And if you feel that, you give that extra 10% in your performance in a big final. And that's what Enzo Maresca probably hopefully changes, because for me, yes, there were a lot of question marks, but eventually, yes, it was definitely in line with what I was expecting in terms of the
Yeah.
top four. But what was ahead of the
Yeah.
expectation was the Club World Cup. And I know that Club World Cup, many people said that it's just a Mickey Mouse trophy,
Yous
as
have made
famously put.
Yeah, yous have made a lot of money though, mate. 100 odd million or something plus. Like
Yeah, and see, that's
it,
the thing, right? And I don't want to be disrespectful, because I know that at the end of the day, Liverpool not being there is also a big question mark on the trophy, but they are looking into it, I believe, in future, editions of it. But the reality is that the Club World Cup is a tournament. Yes, the draws definitely matter, but so do them in the Champions League year after year. We all know that. We always say that we could go there, but if we get a likable draw, and that's what probably happened. But it's not that we faced many easy oppositions. We had, like, Enzo Maresca faced the best PSG side in recent years, one of the best Champions
yeah,
League winners in recent years in the final. Yes, it's a one-off game, but before that, even the Brazilian sides, as much as the Brazilian league is not what it used to be 2 decades ago, but the reality is during the tournament, people realized how good they are, because they were actually deep into their season versus us just starting or ending the season, right? There was Real Madrid, the most successful club that there is, right? There was Manchester City. Recently, I already spoke about them. There was like XYZ clubs, and getting the better of, be it directly or indirectly, tells me that at least last season midway we decided not to give it our all in the Carabao Cup, in the FA Cup. Quite clearly, he picked certain sides which shouldn't have been really picked. We could have gone with stronger sides or substitutions. But the Club World Cup, we took it seriously like all the others, and we
yeah,
came trumps. And speak about anyone for that matter, like the German champions, right? The Argentine, the Brazilian champions. None of them were able to do what we were able to do, and that gave us a belief. And I think
yeah,
that tells me, along with his recent interviews, quite clearly showing that he cares. And I think we finally have another manager after Tuchel, I would like to say, who actually cares of
yeah.
what is happening and really cares. And I think I would like to stick by him no matter what, at least for the time being.
Yeah, and that's consistency is so important, mate, and I think for every football club, but especially in the modern era as well. But yeah, you alluded to obviously the Club World Cup success, and you can only play what's in front of you, mate. And obviously, we found out last year on penalties against Paris Saint-Germain, we struggled. I did watch. I didn't watch all the games, but I did certainly watch the final, and he's absolutely battered them, really, Cole Palmer and the
Yeah.
lads. And we'll speak on Cole Palmer's absence from this game, but in his general form, really, in a Chelsea shirt, really, because he's one of the many great talented players that you do have at and Maresca's disposal anyway. So in terms of, obviously, you mentioned the Club World Cup off the back of last year as well. Obviously, the 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats as well. For especially Liverpool fans as well, that haven't watched too much of Chelsea, I've only watched a couple of games really. Obviously on Match of the Day and everything. But in terms of your analysis coming into this season, just the last 6 weeks, in your honest opinion, how have you gauged? Is it? Did you want more? Obviously, injuries have played a massive part as well.
Yes,
But
exactly. So I think it'll probably not be even a fair judgment. Yes, there are obviously more criticisms than positives,
mm,
but the reality is, like you said, right? There have been so many suspensions, there have been so many individual
mm,
errors, there have been so many injuries. I know it comes across as excuses, but even we played even more games than PSG did the whole of last season in all competitions.
yeah,
So, and I know Conference League people say this and that, but the reality is we had to rotate the squad because of that, and even
yeah,
the final was not easy, right? So for me, the start of the season, yes, of course, fixtures also, we had a couple, more than a couple of derbies to begin with. I
yeah,
know that doesn't include travel, but that includes the atmosphere that probably you don't get in other games,
yeah,
and that was the feistiness of the battles, and
yeah,
that resulted in injuries directly or indirectly, along with the load of the summer. So I think it'll be unfair to judge right now. Yes, one positive thing is that I see that there is a level of flexibility that Maresca has shown, not just in the recent month, but
mm,
also in the recent few months. Right from the time that we got the revival and got the top 4 spot, and then the club World Cup, the Conference League. But The issue now is that there are certain things that he's still learning. Like he has admitted, when we go down 10 men, going negative in a sense that, taking off your forwards, taking off your wingers, putting on defenders who are not as experienced to manage the game is something that he's learning on the job. Because even as a, say, assistant coach that he was at Man City at junior level, right? He did not really face that because Man City never went down to 10 men, did they?
Yeah.
Again, not going to go into controversies, you know what I mean, right, Jack?
Yeah.
And even recently, right? Even in last season, Chelsea, we had a lot of yellow cards. We are known for ill discipline, so as to speak. But I think that's a new for him. And the revolving door of youngsters coming in. So that is something that I still don't agree. Because if he had some experience on the pitch, the board did not really help him. Like he quite clearly wanted after Colwell's injury a centre half who could command, right? We didn't really get that person. Right?
Thiago Silva's departure was crucial for me when I've analysed
Yeah.
Hughes. Obviously, that experience, even though he was 37, 38 or whatever he was in the Prem, and obviously it was Sue growing up and our generation, and even the older generation that watched Chelsea and Liverpool as well. Obviously, Terry's, the Lampards, and we found out over the last 10 years as well, that's been a massive point to obviously the leadership in the dressing room. But is that quite baffling for you, really, in terms of like the centre back position? Because I think me as a
generally,
neutral,
it's just not the centre back position. I think I agree that eventually, at least finally in the third year, the current regime have got some success, and I see that they take PSG as maybe a benchmark now, because PSG, in a sense, did that again, right? So getting all the youngsters and getting them to play, as in beautiful, sexy football, as you say, right? So these are things that you could do, but again, you have to kind of mix it up with experience, and that's what I think Premiership needs compared to other leagues. Because other leagues you can switch off. There are weeks that you can switch off. In Premiership, you cannot switch off. Along with the busy summer we've had. So after spending so much, I totally hear, as in we've been infamously told that, okay, after spending so much, we still cannot have a back line which can, as in for sure beat a certain team. And that's where a big question mark comes, that why is it that we weren't able to identify who are them. Again, the UEFA sanctions have not helped, right? But we could have planned that better. That's I would go to the board.
Yeah, so obviously improvements in the board point of view as well, mate. And that's so crucial. Obviously, pre-Jurgen Klopp, pre-Arne Slot as well, from our point of view. It was, obviously, I think that's so important now in the modern game, as it always has been. But I think with the amount of money generated, it's so crucial that the due diligence really gets done prior to a player coming in, and you've got to scout them about 20 times and make that final assessment on the individual. But you never know, mate. It's like players coming into the big clubs like Chelsea and Liverpool, you can either sink or swim, and it's the pressure.
You know the pressure, right? Imagine Estevao Willian. Yes, he came third or fourth in the Young Player of the Year, and he's fantastic. But to expect him to do better than Madueke from day one is a little bit a lot unrealistic. Right, and that's where continuity is required. Like, I know Nicholas Jackson had his issues, and I have not been sold there. But just like you had Darwin Núñez to some extent, right? But the reality is that we needed someone to be there in people's absence when the experience is being, as in just still being, added to. We don't have that experience, so that continuity was key. But it is what it is, and that's the new Chelsea, right?
Yeah. So in terms of, you alluded to it just slightly before as well, mate, in terms of the tactical perspective from Enzo Maresca, obviously just in general this season, but going into obviously the game this weekend as well. Is it been a big shift from last season? Obviously, we've alluded to already the juggling from Maresca, certain individual players coming in and out as well. We'll speak about obviously some of the key players a bit later as well, mate. But from your analysis, is there been any much shift from last season to this season?
Yes,
as the addition of certain individual players from you?
I think the key change that I see is there are basically two formations that we play, right? So one is, like, technically speaking, we start as a 4-2-3-1, right, on paper, but we never really play 4 at the back. It's always 3 at the back, right? If you notice. So, And we are a possession based team, or we would like to be that. That's Enzo Ball for you, right? And that's where you want to have overloading of midfield. So that's one way that he inverts one of the fullbacks. So that he already used to do last season, a 3-5, simply put, right? Where the either of Kukurea or Reece James or Gusto, one of them used to invert in midfield. Now, that was something that was sussed out, say, midway through last season, and we had a lull period, remember?
Yeah.
And after that, he has changed it, which he has continued this season, which is a breath of fresh air, is the fact that now we are playing a 3-4-2-1, where you're playing with two number 10s, and we are playing a wing back system, which was not too very dissimilar to what we kind of played under Tuchel or Conte. But this is more balanced because that still had spaces in midfield because of the fact that he's playing those two number 10s closer to the midfield and the wing back. You get both attack and defense wise protection, and you have backup options, so that's great. But problem now here comes is the availability. Now if you're playing with two number 10s, and you don't have Cole Palmer available, who are your number 10s? That has been a recent issue.
I was going to say, mate, there's not many replacements for Cole Palmer. He's a once in a generation, really.
Yeah,
he's a top, isn't he?
There cannot be, as in he has to be one of the best in terms of just eye test alone. Leave apart the actual impact that he has. But I think again, Esteban Willian, we've got Facundo Buonanotte on loan. While he's supposed to be the the junior clone to Palmer, Facundo Buonanotte, and he is very similar. I must admit that, but nowhere close to in terms of quality and experience yet. So you either go with Joao Pedro playing at number 10, along with one of those two youngsters, or you have one of the wide men like Pedro Neto or Garnacho, who famously did not like it at Man United playing that role, playing as the number 10, which does not suit. So what's happening as a result of injuries and suspensions and whatnot, we have two options, but now we are reduced to one option, not just because of number 10, but also because of Joao Pedro not having a backup, because Mark Gue is not being trusted upon, and Delap was injured, and Jackson never wanted to come back.
Yeah. It's mad though, isn't it, mate? I think I've always said to my mates, and just when I've always watched Chelsea, like since obviously the departure of Drogba all those years ago, Chelsea for me is a club that is always, you need a top striker. Like it should be like an elite level,
a proper striker.
yeah, like a world class. But there's not many of them, as we found out over the last couple of seasons as well.
I think Costa, maybe Giroud to some extent, but that's it. We didn't really have like for the recent years. I think again, Joao Pedro is great. Don't get me wrong, right? Yeah. But you and me both know, as in Premier League, he's a baller, but he's more of a number 10 than a real striker. So Delap is a real miss. But listen, Liverpool themselves have a lot of injuries to deal with, and again, rest in peace, Diego Jota. Again, that is irreplaceable, right? So there are issues. So we need to deal with issues, whatever it be it, and that's where I think comes Maresca, his coaching. Of course, the players need to stand up, and it's an if that he needs to deliver. That's the expectations this season, in my opinion.
Yeah, and beautiful words from Maresca, I think, in the press conference. Obviously, we're recording this a bit on Friday evening as well. But yeah, he's beautiful. Obviously, I think he went through something similar a very long time ago in his playing career as well. But I'm made up with the way in which Chelsea's response as well is beautiful to the family, and very special words from not just Chelsea but the footballing community for Diogo, forever our number 20 as well, mate. But yeah, I think touching on obviously your starting 11 coming into this game, Ankit, or obviously do anticipate, just quickly touching on obviously some of the injuries as well. Would you go with your starting 11 as well for us, please, mate?
I think it's a no-brainer that we don't have many options in the back. So I think Robert Sanchez right now is the best goalkeeper. Let's go with that. Robert Sanchez, as we like to call him these days. But I think back three, see, there's a toss-up between, I think, two of the three out of Badiashil, who's just fit recently. He brings the physicality, but not the pace. Hato brings the pace, but not the physicality and the experience. And Josh Achimpong, who brings neither, but has a lot of promise. So out of these three, two play. One left centre back, one centre back, and the right centre back would be Reece James, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah. He kind of plays that internal kind of role these days, which kind of helps the others, I believe. Midfield, I believe Andre Santos is unfortunately injured, so we'll have again Lavia not match sharp for 90 minutes for sure. It's kind of shocking. As much as his quality, he hasn't completed 90 minutes for Chelsea yet.
What you
That's
put that?
crazy.
Is it an overload or is it just a bit of unluck, really? Because
It,
I'm disappointed when we didn't sign him.
yeah, he's a quality
Certainly, but
player, and
he's a very good
especially
player,
in the
isn't
game against Liverpool. I always call this is the annual Lavia derby,
he?
because you see he turns up in these games, and that's a fact. And he's
Yeah.
done brilliantly when he plays. The issue is that because he's on match sharp, you are prone to mistakes, right? Because of that reason. And by the time he gets that, he again gets injured. So I don't know. I'm not a medic to comment there,
Mm,
but for me, this has to be the season where he has to deliver. So he'll come off the bench,
yeah.
but Enzo Caicedo start despite Caicedo not being 100%. But we need him on the wings. Like again, I would put Kukurea and Neto because we're playing against Liverpool. There's got to be good balance in defense and attack, and people tracking back, especially Salah and Gakpo. I can imagine that with Kirkis and, of course, probably Frimpong for all we know, Bradley. So we'll have to have that. And number 10, again, I would have gotten Joao Pedro along with Esteva William, but I fancy Maresca going with probably Facundo Buonanotte and Esteva William with Joao Pedro playing up top. I would actually give a break to Margu because I think against Konate and Virgil van Dijk, you need some physicality, and that's when Margu could have helped. But let's see, Garnacho of the bench, I think, has looked good. To be fair, I know he gets a lot of slack, but I
I
think he's been impressive.
Yeah, he's a top player, mate. I think he's got all the attributes really. Obviously not featured that many times for you, mate, but similar. It's us as neutrals, anyone that's watching United. McTominay in Napoli done really well. Got one voted one of the best players in that league. All the players that leave United, and even the managers as
Hoyland.
well. Some of them, yeah. So it's just, I think it's just an absolute mess in it, mate. It's not the case of he's a top player, mate. But it's just quickly touching on some of the key threats as well. Who do Liverpool really need to keep an eye on? One player I want to speak on, obviously Moses Caicedo. We done videos all the years ago anyway, and it was I remember doing a video, like, was it midnight? I think we all remember, Chelsea fans and Liverpool fans and football fans in general. I went to bed going, oh, we've signed him. Woke up the morning with about 1 million tweets saying, Jack, yeah, we haven't signed him. I was like, oh, sound. He's gone to Chelsea. How's his development been? I think he's one of the best defensive midfielders in European football at this moment in time. I think the form that he's shown is really catapulted Chelsea. Your analysis on him?
And Jack, I think again, like, personally speaking, me and Jack go back in the day, right? So I remember having this discussion, the gang, right? And we had scouted Gravenberch, Caicedo around the same time, and I had said that Liverpool can probably use Gravenberch the way they're doing. So hats off to Arne Slot for that. And Gravenberch, being a Dutch fan as well, somewhere online, is one of my favorites. So he's an all-rounder, right?
Yeah.
Caicedo has gone next level. That's the reality of it. And for me, I'm like the luckiest person that, as a Chelsea fan who has Moses Caicedo. Like, without Moses Caicedo, even I would put Marc Cucurella in that bracket. We don't function. That's our engine. Like that, we don't really function as a team. He is like the person who kind of gets us going. Those last ditch tackles, be it even like, what? It's a very unpopular opinion. I love Enzo, but I think the passing ability of Caicedo is actually better than Enzo, and people don't realize that. And that's a fact. I'm talking about Enzo Fernandez, right? And he's a top quality passer. See, that is the level. So the ability is right up there. So can we unlock that aspect of Moses Caicedo? And I've on my channel, I've said it numerous times. If Moses Caicedo can add goals, like, he can be the best midfielder that Chelsea ever had. That good. So imagine, and this is someone who's watching Chelsea from 1990s. So trust me, this guy, I'm really glad, and I think if he has a good game, it's very difficult to beat Chelsea. Let's put it that way. Just like we used to tell about N'Golo Kante, right? When N'Golo Kante has a good game, it's very difficult to beat that team. It's very similar to him, but he adds to that passing ability, which probably, arguably, N'Golo Kante probably missed at times. So for me, 100% fit Caicedo, that's a big if for this game. Would probably, could be the difference. But then you have Gravenberch. So it'll be interesting midfield battle.
A good battle, a very physical battle as well. And you as a neutral, mate, or Chelsea fans probably watching or listening, certainly have watched Liverpool in the last 2 weeks. People have been going overboard, really. It's like, oh, season over.
No, but see, let's not get it wrong. Like, I know the word 008 thing is going on, but the reality is that if at all there's a time to beat Liverpool back to back,
Yeah.
which we haven't done from what, 3-4 years, I believe.
Yeah,
This is it.
Liverpool's last win at the Bridge was 5 years ago, 2020
Yeah,
as well. So, and that's obviously this is a Chelsea preview, but it's that's going to be some battle from our point of view as well, mate. But
right.
some records, obviously, the famous one. I remember that Xabi Alonso game where he scored a 1-0 win and obviously beat that record. Chelsea hadn't been beaten in absolute years, literally at
Yeah.
home as well. You'd like to, obviously, that's what Chelsea fan and you, Ankit, and other Chelsea Blues as well, be hoping to get back to as well, a formidable home record. Just really the final closing analysis from you, Ankit, really, in terms of your hopes and expectations going into the game this weekend, mate. And obviously, if you want to drop in a score prediction as well along the way, if you want.
Yeah, I've kind of called it already, but you know what? I'm strangely confident, not for the fact that we have so many injuries, not for the fact that we've lost 2 Premier League games
Yeah.
back to back and got red cards in 3 consecutive games in all competitions, but the fact that when you least expect Chelsea to do well, that's when Chelsea turn. I mean, that's the recent or previous history of Chelsea, and I think before the international break is a banana skin for us. This will be the match which should tell us whether we have grown as a unit. And I think if this is not it, then probably it's again another cycle, which I don't want to be in. But even realistically speaking, uh, I'd say that the main battle, if we can win that, like again, Caicedo, Gravenberch, we already touched upon that. But I believe that wing play, if we can go the way that I suggested, the 3-4-2-1 rather, I
Yeah.
believe we have much more ability to kind of hit on the break than even Liverpool, which is very strange thing to say because we are Stamford Bridge. So I am saying that we would be able to nick a extra goal in that second half and go with 2-1, but we will concede because we haven't played like a constant backline for God knows when. So I'm pretty sure, and Liverpool with the forwards you have,
Mm.
100% sure that you'll be scoring at least one. But I think I'll take a 2-1 and bite your hand off if you give me. But yeah,
Yeah.
what would you?
Anyone, mate, at this minute. I just say, like, if you want to get a goal at the minute, which is disappointing because Ibu's a very quality centre half. He's going through difficult form, but as we've been very disappointed in the last 2 results, but and even this season, I don't think that we've played to
You're
our
scoring a
maximum,
set piece
really.
goal. I'll tell you now why.
Oh yeah,
Because we are terrible. We are terrible. Not that you're
Even-
great recently, but we are terrible.
So just lob a ball into the box, do an Arsenal, then
Yeah.
just we'll be here for another 20 hours if we spoke about Arsenal and set pieces anyway. But yeah, I'll go with 2-1, mate. Hopefully any win, but so I'm pretty sure. I think as you've already alluded to, mate, there'll be a lot of goals. Both defenses leaky-ish over the last couple of weeks as well, mate. But yeah, and aspirations finally. The final point anchors obviously
I
posters
think I'll be
go into
happy
the
if
season.
yeah,
Into the
I think I'll
season.
be happy if we again get Champions League football, go deep in the Champions League, maybe up until the quarterfinals, depending on the draws at least. But I think one domestic cup. I know we deserved at least one in all those finals that we lost in Liverpool.
Yeah.
But I think one domestic cup, because let's be real again, being a '90s kid, you know that Chelsea were always known for domestic cup competitions, and it's very strange that recently that's gone, which is very unlike Chelsea. So I would like us to get that part of history, which is definitely part of some part of history for us. But yeah, I think I'm good. Otherwise, see, I'm not going to put much pressure. I would like to challenge for the title, but I can clearly see the Club World Cup has taken us,
Mm.
to a fatigue level almost. So, and our board hasn't helped. So I think it'll be unrealistic to expect more than that. But at least one cup and a deep
Yeah.
Champions League run with top four is something that I can take right now. But you know what? Keep your expectations low so that you don't be
Yeah.
disappointed, and you'll rather be happy at the end. I'll take that.
Yeah, 2-2, mate, as well for every fan in general as well. It's yeah, it's just massive thank you, Ankit, for coming on, much appreciated. But
My
please do
pleasure.
shout out where everyone can find you and the lads and what content you've got coming up this week and post this weekend as well for you.
Sure thing. First of all, big thanks for having us. Definitely would love to be back. Long time no see Jack, but always lovely to speak to Jack. But yeah, please give a like to this particular video as well as give a subscribe. You can find us on Almighty Blues FC. That's on YouTube. So I am a full-time YouTuber. I do content around EPL, around UCL, even some international football content around European football, but been a Chelsea fan throughout, along with a soft corner for maybe Milan. You can see a Milan jersey in the background. So there you can find some Serie A as well, not just EPL and UCL, but even, like I said, a Dutch fan somewhere down the line. So yeah, the World Cup coming on, you can find us there, but also on socials. We are available on Almighty Blues FC on X as well as on Instagram. But yeah, looking forward to the game and the season, and great to be here.
So Reds and Blues, try and enjoy this weekend. I know it's as long as we get a good game and hopefully 3 points from the red side. Sorry, Ankit, but yeah, it should be a very typical, hopefully a Chelsea Liverpool battle at the bridge. A good one anyway. But that's been Chat McIndoe, and that's been Ankit from the Almighty Blues podcast. So, Reds, if you are watching or listening to the Anfield Index Pro Plus special, make sure do drop a like on the video as well, and do get involved, obviously, with Match Bingo. Click the links in the description as well. Scan the QR code on screen as well. And yeah, Reds, good luck with that. But for now, Reds, enjoy the game on the weekends, and you'll never walk alone.